is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with the rebuilding on the Charlotte Hornets, a team that hasn't really had much success in the playoffs and get into the playoffs. They have continued to try to rebuild. They have continued to try to win and change the culture and change what they are. They lost one of their best players in franchise history, if not the best, and Kemba Walker decided to take his talents to my own Boston Celtics. And now they have Devontae Graham and Teddy Rozier, Nicholas Batum. And they had a struggling year this season. Really didn't show much offensively. Really wasn't great defensively. I don't really know what direction they're going in. This is a draft that's kind of weak with superstar potential and upside. But they got to pick somebody. They got to figure out something so that way they can get out of this hole of being an okay to bad team. I'm not going to put all the blame on the organization, but they have struggled developing talent. They have struggled getting stars to come. They have struggled getting a superstar player, which you can make an argument that Kemba was an all-star caliber player, but would anybody really say Kemba was a superstar? I think that's debatable. But he did help them get to the playoffs, and he did make them more competitive as he continued to grow and develop. And now they just going in an entirely different direction, going younger, trying to hit some on these players, and still they don't have a superstar player on their roster. I don't even believe they have an all-star caliber player on their roster currently. But I do like how gritty they are. I like how grindy they are. They very competitive. They very prideful when it comes to having fun, but also trying to compete. And I think that's the type of culture you want to build if you're going to have a young team. You want them to be feisty. You want them to get up for games. You want them to play hard, and you want them to play together. And I feel like this team has been able to do those things. They just don't have to be honest, the talent to be a legitimate competitive team. And that sounds crazy because they're in the East. But this team really don't have consistent scorers, people they can rely on. They don't have consistent outside shooting, in my personal opinion. Terry Rozier was an upgrade, but it came with a heavy cost of his contract. And you know that, Charlotte is desperate when you're paid Terry Rozier, even though he had a good season. If that's your best pickup and Nicholas Batum is your second, and we both all say they're a little overpaid and a little overrated, that's not really that good for your situation. And Nicholas Batum been beat up and toe up majority of his career in Charlotte. So it sounded like a good deal. You get a forward that can really play make and handle the ball and shoot threes and give you that dimension that a lot of teams want from their forward, but he hasn't worked out or panned out damn near the whole time that he's been in Charlotte. So that was disappointment. I know they can't wait to get off that contract. But the toughest thing about Charlotte is the fact that they struggle with making the right draft choice. They struggle with developing talent, and they don't really have the ability to get superstars outside of the draft, but they can't develop the superstars consistent enough to really build something special. And I like Miles Bridges. I thought that was a good pickup, but the problem with Miles Bridges was his upside. What is he going to be? What is he going to sell at? What areas of his game is going to carry him in the league? And he has been, just like he has been in college, a decent player. He has been finishing, dunking, shooting, but nothing is exceptional or elite. And that was the problem with drafting him, is his upside. What is his strengths? What is his really his niche? So his niche, we haven't seen anything really from him, and that was the biggest problem with drafting him coming into that draft. He's better than getting a bust. He's better than a lot of players within that draft, but it didn't really help them at all because he hasn't really helped them win as much. He's an impressive player. He's a guy that may have a good career, but he doesn't look like an all-star superstar player either. And that was another draft pick that they got a solid player, but he doesn't really help them win that much or make that big difference when he's on the court or even since they drafted him. And then you look at PJ Washington, another good solid player, but not a franchise changing guy, not a guy that's really going to make that much of a difference. He's a quality player, he's a good role player, but still you don't have that pillar, you don't have that foundation player still. And I know a lot of people was messing with Devontae Graham, and Devontae Graham had a part in the season where people feel like he was an all-star, but the fact that he can't really score outside of the three-point line really limits his potential because he has worked hard. He has become better than a lot of us thought, but he's still far away from being one of the best players in the league. Even though I like him, and even though I feel like he is a solid player, Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier, can you really win with that backcourt? Can you really compete against the best teams with that backcourt? Can Devontae Graham get even better than he has right now? And a lot of people will say yes because he has done that already this season. But we still have to see how good can Devontae Graham be, because he's going to be a big difference maker on how this team can be built and what they can do in the future. And that's something that we will have to wait and see and find out. But he has become better than what we thought he would be, and he has become one of the biggest reasons why they won a lot more games. But he also was a big reason when he didn't shoot good, why they lost games. But he only can do so much, and he is a smaller guard. They only can, carry you as far as they can. You still need other guys to pick up the weight, pick up the load, and they just haven't had that so far throughout these last couple years since Kemba left. I mean, this last year since Kemba left, they just don't have enough. And even when Kemba was having his best season, his All NBA season, it still wasn't even enough to get them in the playoffs, which shows you how hard it is to win in the NBA. That you having one of the best seasons in the entire NBA, and you don't even get to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. They couldn't even get an eighth seed, even though they came close. They didn't get it. So when I look at this team, I hope that they can get a higher pick. Like I said, with the new draft lottery odds, they have a chance to move up in the draft just as equal as everybody else. But they also have that ability to be stuck between 9, 10, and 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, which isn't terrible. But in a draft that don't really have that superstar, that must-have player, you kind of want to be in that top three. But if you're not in that top three, you might have a hard time getting that superstar potential player in this draft. But you do have guys like James Wiseman and Killian Hayes and those type of guys, even like Isaac Okoro, who can give them defense at that shooting guard position and give them size at that position. And you can bring one of the other guys off the bench to give you a spark plug. You have Wiseman, who is an athletic big that they've been trying to get from Biyombo, and Zeller. You got a guy that can finish around the rim, possibly be a defensive force in the future, a guy that possibly can space out the floor at that center position. And they said he's a legitimate 7-1, giving you a bigger, longer, athletic version of Bismack, who hasn't panned out either, and you're paying him $17 million. So I can see them still getting a quality player and a guy with some upside if they get to somebody later in the draft. But they really need to hit on the best players in this draft if they really want to turn this franchise around. And getting the 9th or 10th or 11th pick isn't going to help this team that much in this particular draft. But if they can get within that top 6, 7, they can possibly still get a quality player that can make a difference. Because even Killian Hayes is a guy that can give them size at that guard position, give them scoring, give them that dual ball handler, and a guy that can knock down threes off the ball. Plus, he has potential to be an all-star caliber player. But like I said, you will have to bench either Rozier or Devontae Graham to insert him into the lineup and give him that chance to play and develop and get chemistry and get acclimated with his teammates. And then when you look at the rest of this draft in Charlotte position, Okongwu I thought was a solid pickup just because he will give them that rim protector they've been desperately trying to get. I feel like he can be a good pickup at that 8, 9, 10 spot if he does fall. Cole Anthony, I don't think he'd be a great fit just because they don't need another point guard. Denny, we don't really know what he's going to be and if he's going to be available later in the draft. Some people like him. Some people see bust. Some people don't see him really fitting on multiple teams. But he's a guy that can give you ball handling, give you size, give you another dynamic to your lineup, give you another style that you can possibly play. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. He can get to the basket from time to time. He can find shooters like Rozier and guys like Devontae Graham, and he can, also shoot a little bit off the ball with upside at that shooting ability. He can be a guy that can potentially drop, that still has potential to be great. But, the worst part about the Charlotte Hornets is they might not get within that top 7. And if that's the case, I don't really see too many guys that can really be high upside players outside of Killian Hayes or Okongwu. But will those guys even be available at 8, 9, 10? I don't know, and we will have to see when the lottery happens. But you still have Halliburton, which I don't believe they need because they already got Graham and Terry Rozier. Nico Manning don't have the upside. He has the potential to be a great role player, but I don't really see him being a star in the league. So I don't know if they want to go in that direction. You look at Josh Green, a guy that can shoot off the ball, be a good fit, but he gives them size, but he doesn't give them that all-star upside that they need potentially on this roster. R.J. Hampton is a guy that's interesting, but he doesn't have the NBA body and a consistent jump shot to give you valuable minutes right away, which I think they will want. And when you look at everybody else, Daniel, I don't see him really being a big difference maker for Charlotte, but I can see him being a Charlotte type of pick. And then you look at everybody else, I don't believe that if they can't get in that top 3 that they'll have a chance of getting an Anthony Edwards or a LaMelo Ball. I think they'd be already gone. And then you look at Obi. Will he be available in that range? No. I think he'd be gone before then. But this team doesn't need another scorer at that position. Honestly, in my personal opinion, but he is a guy that can hit some mid-range, get to the rim, bring some excitement, some enthusiasm to the court, give you a lot of momentum when big plays happen, and he does give you another guy that can help Rozier and Davante Graham and the rest of this team get buckets, but he plays that Miles Bridges, PJ Washington type position, and I don't really think they need another guy. Will he be a better upside offensively? Yeah, but those guys are a little bit more well-rounded and have a little bit more complete game compared to Obi at this point of his career, even though he might be the better offensive player. But that's really about it. I don't really see them getting no big free agents just because there's no real big free agents this summer. I don't really see them trading up in the draft because I don't know if they really want to get rid of some of their players to move up to get guys that may not be sure things or guys that may not have that superstar upside. Now, if you can get up in the draft and get an Anthony Edwards, a LaMelo Ball, those guys may be worth that just because they have that upside to be better players and potential all-star caliber players, and they multi-dimensional at their age, but they also not going to help you win right away, which could be good just because you can get some more picks in the draft. But like I said, Charlotte struggles with developing talent, and they struggle with making the right picks throughout the journey of being in Charlotte. So that's something that you have to be realistic about being a Charlotte Hornet fan. And at the same time, this team has tried. They have made moves to get players. They have took gambles. They have took risks. They have made mistakes. But like I said, eventually, just like every other organization, they're going to have that run where they eventually will be a playoff team and they eventually will be competitive. The problem is, I don't know when that's going to happen. But every team done had a run. Charlotte is eventually going to get it right. We don't know when, we don't know how, but it's going to happen. Just not right now, just not in this draft. But if you're a Charlotte fan, keep your head up. It's going to happen eventually. Every team in the history of the game had a run. Charlotte hasn't had that. It's going to come eventually. They're going to get it right. So I'm just giving y'all hope. Y'all going to get it right eventually. Y'all going to hit somebody eventually. Y'all might get the number 1 pick and get a franchise-changing guy. I don't really see that in this draft right now. But at the same time, this may not be the time for that draft either. But they got some good role players. They got the competitive spirit. They feisty. And they're a young team that's hungry. They just don't have the talent to compete with the better teams. and they just don't have the consistency either, and they just haven't been able to build enough and get that foundation piece, which can really change the fortune of this franchise. The thing is, when is they going to get that player? We have to wait and see. Other than that, check out my website, analysisplayground.com, link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com, link in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for liking on Facebook if you already did. Also, like the video if you liked it already. Thanks for the love and support. If you haven't, please like and share. Also, check out my Spreadshirt. Like I said in the beginning of the video, check out my Facebook page. If you're new to the channel, I make discussions and talks just like this. I also cover the NBA draft like you see. Not only that, I also make other type of videos about free agency, trade deadline, season previews, playoff predictions, and I also do cover Summer League. So if you love basketball and you need some food every day, I try to make a video every single day. So if you love that type of stuff, this is the channel for you. So subscribe and become part of the family. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think about the Charlotte Hornets. Let me know what you guys think they should do. And let me know if you feel like they're going to get that thing right at the end of the day before they just lose their mind and just give up. I don't think that's going to happen, though. But they're going to have their run eventually. So keep y'all heads up.